Today we're going over all GPUs from the lowest end to the highest end and ranking them based on price, performance, and overall satisfaction and my thoughts on their competitiveness. I'm going to be checking eBay street prices, tech power-up performance charts, and also prices on Newegg. The Arc A380, I kind of eliminated RX 580 GPUs and Turing GPUs from this pool. Even 16 series NVIDIA GPUs I've eliminated just because, you know, I think driver support ended for RX 580 and Turing is about to be there. I know GTX 10 series just got ended, and honestly, those cards don't have a lot of VRAM and they're just starting to get long in the tooth, so I don't even think you should buy them anymore. Maybe a 2070 or 2080 you could buy, but anything below that, anything with a 16 in the name doesn't have ray tracing, so probably don't even want to buy that. But the Arc A380 does have ray tracing. It is a little bit lower end, so if I look this up on Tech Power Up here, it's gonna be really far down here. Maybe not that far down. Here it is. It performs on the level of around a 1650, so not a great performer there, only 186 gigabytes of memory bandwidth, and this thing's got 4 teraflops. So it has the same amount of teraflops and a little bit more memory bandwidth than my iGPU on Lunar Lake. So yeah, you know, GTX 1650, RX 470, not a great performer there, but what's this going on for eBay? Wow, almost $200 on eBay. Okay, 119. That's still kind of more than it should be new for a graphics card this low end. 150, 200. Okay. So yeah, this isn't even below $100. I'm gonna look this up online and see if it's any cheaper. Honestly, $170. Okay, at $170, this thing is a non-starter. It's great for media servers, encoding, things like that, but anything above really $120 for this thing is really bad. So pricing wise, $170 for this right now, I'm gonna give this C tier. That's really bad, and you should never buy a graphics card like this at C tier. Now hopefully the A580 is a little bit better. This graphics card is quite a bit faster than the Arc A380. 200%, so double the speed. This has got, you know, a little over 12 teraflops, 512 gigabytes of memory bandwidth, but only 8 gigs of VRAM, so not the best in that department there. On eBay, this is going for $188, $200, $300. You know, people just trying to scalp on eBay. The MSRP of this card is not even very high. On Amazon, it's going for, yeah, I mean, dang, these graphics cards must have went out of stock, because I bought the Arc A580 for $150 before off Newegg. Let's see where it's going on. I might just look on Newegg instead of Amazon. Yeah, it's out of stock, but it's usually around $160, $170. For that price, you're getting performance, like I said, double the A380, around a GTX 1080, but also you have great media encoders, you have upscaling, and you have ray tracing. So not a bad graphics card. It's starting to get a little bit long in the tooth though. And for $170, I think they're starting to get better options out there just for a few more bucks, like around the $250 area, $300 area. You can get a lot more performance, but if you're really tight on your budget, $170, not horrible, but I'm gonna give it B tier. A year ago when this was, you know, 160, it was great, but it's just starting to get a little bit more competitive down there in the lower end, which is, I like to see it. Now, not in the $170 range, but I really think that you should be spending more on your graphics card than $200, let's be real. So next up is the 3050 8 gigabytes. This thing is not the best graphics card. A little bit slower than our Arc A580. It's actually on the performance of a R9X Fury. That graphics card came out a long time ago. It's on the performance of a 980 Ti, so pretty bad GPU performance. It does have 8 gigs of VRAM though, which is more than both those cards, I believe, and we're looking at 9 teraflops of FP32 performance. So what's this thing going on eBay for? 150, 200. I would say probably you could get this for 170, 150, somewhere around that area. It looks like used. Now what about Newegg? Okay, 200. Yeah, looks, that's a 6 gig. That's not what we're looking at here. So yeah, it looks like new 200 and then used around 170. Yeah, this GPU, so it costs the same as the Arc A580, but it performs like 30% slower. I'm gonna put this in C tier. It does have 8 gigs of VRAM. Could be useful if you get a low profile one, but for that price, that's pretty stinky, pretty bad. And yeah, these low-end graphics cards aren't impressing me so far. Last year, I think we had a lot better options. But let me go ahead and check out the Arc 6600 here. Should be quite a bit more performance. Yeah, 44% more performance than the RTX 3050. So we're on a 5700 XT performance level, 2060 Super, right under a 3060 12 gigabyte. We have about 9 teraflops of FP32 and 224 gigabytes of bandwidth. And I probably should do buy it now. I forgot to do that. 190 bucks, 170, 190. Probably you could get this for 180. What's it on Newegg for? 220. Yeah, yikes, yikes. Okay. Yeah, I would definitely not pay more than like 180 for this GPU. I mean, how much more performance is this over the Arc A580? This is tough. Okay, so it's 13% more performance. To be completely honest with you guys, the Arc A580 has better ray tracing performance, better media encoders, and overall a much more robust AI upscaler. So I think that the RX 6600 is going to be right under the A580. I'd rather go with that, to be honest. This is probably going to be pretty similar to the RX 6600. Yeah, it's only like 5% more performance. So I'm not even going to, okay, I'll bother looking up. It's slightly more. It's like $200. For that, I mean, 5% more performance. I'd rather go with the RX 6600 non-XT because it's like the same performance and costs like $10 less. So yeah, I'd definitely go with the RX 6600. So far, all these low-end GPUs, not really impressing so far, I gotta say. So the Arc A750, where's that at? That's right under this 6600. So it's got 17 teraflops, 512 bits, 512 gigabytes a second. Okay. What's this going for? 180 refurbished, 170, 180, 170, 165. Okay, so around 170. Wow, $300 new. Is that even, that's the B580. Okay, they don't even have it in stock. Now this product is end of life as of like last week. So basically they aren't making this anymore. What that means for us is basically the price of this is probably gonna go up over time instead of down. And it being at 170, I think it's a good buy at 170. I recently bought a couple of these actually at $170 off Amazon and sold them. And they're really great for just throwing in rigs and selling. It is an 8 gigabyte GPU, but for 170 bucks, that puts it at the same price as the Arc A580. I think I'd rate this honestly A tier for that, not quite S tier, but I know it's slightly less performance than the Arc 6600, but honestly, you're getting that ray tracing performance, you're getting those media encoders that this could be really good at video editing, you know, albeit with only 8 gigs of VRAM. And yeah, I think it's a good card for that price for sure. Next up, we have the RTX 3060 12 gig. Pretty low end card for only, you know, 12 gigs of VRAM. That's nice. And this is 6% faster than the A750. We have 12 teraflops here, over 360 gigabytes of memory bandwidth. You gotta watch out for this graphics card because there's a version of it that's like 6 gigabyte and 8 gigabyte. You see that? And he's only selling that for 100 and it's parts only. So yeah, we don't want that. We want the 12 gig version. So I'm gonna type that in. Wow, 380, that is a steep price. 280, 280 is still kind of a lot for this, I'm not gonna lie. 250, dang, yeah, that's not too good. I would say like 220 is what I would try to snatch this up at. 250 is like, okay, fair. The one thing keeping this card relevant is it's 12 gigs of VRAM though. So yeah, $300, $330. So it's going for around 300 new. Oh, open box 3060 Ti for 260. That's not horrible. Problem is, you know, it's 8 gigs of VRAM. Actually, funny thing, I actually bought this same card during the crypto boom for like 800 and now it's 260. That's kind of how this stuff works. Funny to see that. So yeah, at around 250 new, I think that's what we saw. Oh, 300 new, 250 used with 12 gigs of VRAM, the NVIDIA DLSS Magic. So how much more is that? 80 bucks more? Yeah, I think that VRAM is worth it over the A750. I'm torn, you know, because of the price, but I think it is worth it. You'll get a little bit more longevity off that 12 gigs of VRAM. So I'm gonna put this card in A tier. Not the best price to performance, but for what you're getting, you know, you have to consider more than just the price to performance. You gotta consider longevity, platform features, you know, DLSS, 12 gigs of VRAM. 3060 is still looking okay at that price. Next up, we have the A770 8 gigabytes. And to be honest, guys, this is the same thing as the A750, you know, 8 gigabyte. They're both pretty much the same. They differ in performance by what, 10%, if that, 11%. And on here, I don't think it's gonna be too much more expensive. 260, 200. All right. Okay, so for some reason it costs a lot more just because it's an A770. So in that case, I'm gonna put this in C tier. It costs like 220 and it's only 8 gigs of VRAM. Not the best, you know, but the 16 gig version, pretty nice, I gotta say. We're sitting here at almost 20 teraflops, 512 gigabytes per second of memory bandwidth. And let's look on eBay what this costs. I'll let you guys know, I actually got an A770 for myself off eBay for 220 bucks about a year ago. And it rocks in my server build where I kind of use it to host media. And I gotta say, it's really good at that. It's good at video editing too. So 280 for a 16 gigabyte GPU. Okay, I'm listening. And it's the Founders Edition. It's refurbished. 350, 290, 270, 260. I'd say, guys, anything around 260, 250, anything around that price or below is a great deal for a 16 gigabyte GPU, depending on what you're using it for. You know, Alchemist is not the best at Unreal Engine 5 kind of titles. So because of this thing called in-execute direct. And what happens is there's this hardware flaw in the first gen ARC cards that make it like really slow for Unreal Engine 5, like 30% slower than it should be, sometimes more. So if you're playing a lot of those games and you're looking into the future, yeah, Intel Arc isn't the best. But if you need something for video editing, I've tested that. It works really well, almost as good as my 4080, which is surprising. They both have dual encoders, both 16 gigs of VRAM, so it makes sense. For video editors, for 250, 270 bucks, this is S tier. Hands down, it's S tier. For gamers, for people that just love PC parts, it is more like right behind the 3060, because the 3060 I think performs better. No, it performs okay, so it's ahead of the 3060. But for overall computer usage, this is S tier for that price of $250 used on the low end to $300 new. I think so, because I mean 16 gigs of VRAM, yeah, really nice. So that kind of puts the end of these low-end GPUs. We do have some more low-end here, but they kind of cost over $300. So this is going to be the first category here. We have the A770 taking the crown for the budget low-end GPUs with the 3060 on the cusp. 3060 honestly is a better GPU if you're just gaming, but if you're doing all kinds of compute and workloads with video editing, I think the A770 will serve you a little bit better, and it has a little bit more VRAM to boot for a similar price, right? Okay, so now we're going up to kind of these lower mid-range cards. Now these really shouldn't be, they're all built on 128-bit bus, but that's just kind of what they're priced at. So the RX 7600, what is this performance-wise? I think it's a big jump in performance if I remember right. No, actually it's right at an A770, okay. And you know, on the used market, this might be below $300. It's $290, $300, $240. It's not bad. I mean, it is an 8 gigabyte GPU though, $250. $280, $360, $320. So almost similarly priced to the A770 16 gig. But it only has 8 gigs and they perform the same. So yeah, I'm gonna put this in the into B tier. The performance is there, you know, AV1 encoding, ray tracing performance ain't the worst, it's a monolithic chip. But the 8 gigs of VRAM for that price is kind of getting on my nerves at 300 bucks. It's not good. Next thing we have is the 4060, and let's see where this sits. So right around a RX 7600 XT or 2070 Super, and we're looking at 15 teraflops FP32, 272 gigabytes a second of memory bandwidth, which is super low. It's only 128-bit card. And on eBay, it's 300, 290. Yeah, so I mean, MSRP of this thing's 300, and it really hasn't dipped below that as far as I could tell. Seems about right. Yep, 300. So just sitting at 300, not really caring that the 5060 came out at that price. This thing, $300 GPU with 8 gigs of VRAM, how much faster is it than the A770? 12% faster, you know, half the memory bandwidth. This is truly horrible, but it's not as bad as the RX 7600 because they're about the same price and it has DLSS. So one thing saving it is DLSS, but I'm gonna put it in B tier. You know, not quite as bad as the A380 or RTX 3050, because those are just like, what are you gonna do with that performance? That's like high-end performance from like 10 years ago, but you know, this ain't too much better. Next up, RX 7600 XT. So this is 14% faster than the A770, around a 4060 performance. We have 22 teraflops of FP32 and 288 gigabytes of memory bandwidth. Not very good, but this time we have 16 gigs of VRAM. So, you know, you might only have the memory bandwidth of a low-end card from like 10 years ago, but you have the VRAM to do something. Let's look this up. 330, 340, okay. For only like 30 bucks, 40 bucks more than the other one. It's definitely worth it for the VRAM. Okay, and Newegg, it's non-starter, like almost 500 bucks. Heck no. Heck no. Okay, so what, 12% faster than the A770, you know, worse encoder performance, but better gaming performance. I'm gonna put this, honestly, yeah. This takes the spot from the 3060, or does it? How much faster is this than the, I'm sorry guys, this is tough. You gotta think about this, because every wrong move you make, people in the comments are gonna come after you. Okay, 20% faster. Yes, it is better than the 3060 at this price, at 350, you know, because the 3060 costs like 300. At this price, yes. 3060 kind of is 280. If you could get a cheap 3060 for like 250, I would go with that. But you know, if you can get an RX 7600 XT 16 gig for around 350, 320, I'd go with that, because you know the extra VRAM is going to help out, and you get 20% more performance right off the bat. You could add 30% performance to every NVIDIA GPU to equate it to the AMD GPUs to account for DLSS, because DLSS actually makes the image quality look better than native. So you literally are dumb if you don't use it. Like, DLSS quality looks better than native resolution, surprisingly. It cleans up the image. Meanwhile, FSR degrades the image in every respect at every setting level, right? So you can't really equate the two together. Now that's gonna change when we get to the 9000 series of AMD GPUs. We'll talk about those later, but those actually increase the image quality like DLSS. So that AMD changed the game there, but their previous generation GPUs that won't be getting that, yeah, you could kind of subtract 30% performance of those to equate them to a NVIDIA card. Tough, but it's true. But I'm gonna go ahead and just keep it here at A tier for that. That was my spiel on that. Next, we have the Arc B580, the much praised GPU in the tech community. Everyone seems to like this thing. And I've noticed that when a GPU becomes really popular, its value proposition kind of fades away. This was supposed to be a great budget GPU, and it's kind of been scalped and to where it doesn't really meet that criteria anymore. It was supposed to be $250. And this is on the level of a 2080, RTX 2080, right behind a 4060 Ti, 8 gig. And we have, where's the, we have right around 13.5 FP32 and 456 gigabytes per second memory bandwidth. What's this on eBay? 350, 300, okay. 300 for that dual, that tri-fan model is actually pretty good. Yeah, I mean, what's this going for on eBay new? $350, 300. Okay, so 300 new. Yeah, I mean, this fixes that issue that I talked about earlier with art cards that indirect execute. Unreal Engine 5 games should work fine. On Battle Mage, they should actually scale with its XE count. So at $300 flat, I'm gonna put this in A tier, right behind the A770, because hear me out, the A770, you can get it for less than this, like $250, sometimes even less like I did for $220. And it's got 16 gigs of VRAM. And when you're doing professional work, there's no other card that offers that amount of VRAM at that low of a price. And with the dual media engines of the A770, I mean, it's just great for that video work. So for overall computer usage, A770 beats it just by a little bit. But B580 is better than I thought it was. I thought it was kind of being scalped to like 400 bucks on the street, but I guess not. Next up, we have the new RTX 5060. Let's check this card out. It is, where is it on here? C5060 Ti. Oh, it's slower than a B580 by 1%. I didn't know that. Okay. And this thing has 19 teraflops at 448 gigabytes per second. So finally, on 128-bit bus, we have decent memory bandwidth. That's like not bad at all. I think that's around 2080 bandwidth right there. Around a RX 7600 XT, only 2% faster than the 4060. That's really sad. Is that true? 2% faster than the 4060. Huh. I for sure thought it was faster than that. Okay. What is this on eBay going for? 350. Okay. Ugh. This is not good. 8 gig GPU. Okay, 300. So it's literally cheaper new. There's only one model at 800. This thing is garbage, man. 2% faster. I'm putting that in C tier. Literally, that's the worst card. Well, yeah, that's... I think I'd rather have it than the 8 gig A770, but it's pretty much the worst card. It's garbage, bro. Oh my gosh, 300, 350 for that? 2% more performance? Are you kidding me? No. Okay, next up is the RX 9060 XT 8 gig. So only 8 gigs of VRAM here, much maligned. And where is this at? Is this even on the chart? Yeah, I know this is pretty new. Huh. Well, I don't see the 8 gig version, but here's the 16 gig version. They should be the same performance in the testing methodology they've done here. So it's around a 3070. I think that's right where I said it would be in my leak of this product. And we're coming out with 25 teraflops over 322 gigabytes per second. Pretty low memory bandwidth, but this thing increased the cache to help with it. The 8 gig version, you know, it's 8 gigs, so it's gotta be really cheap for us to consider it. Probably not even on eBay yet. This thing is like brand new. So 350, you know, anything over 300 with 8 gigs is just a non-starter. Yeah, 350. Yep, rip, 350. Okay, 300 here. But even so, you know, this generation of AMD GPUs actually has great media encoders that can actually hold up, and they have good AI-based upscalers that use the AI cores in the actual graphics card. Still, only 8 gigs of VRAM for 300 and above. It's DOA, and at this point, I'm gonna put this at the very bottom. You aren't gonna have DLSS here. You know, the new version of FSR is just not supported in much titles, and it's not really worth it. I'd even go with the A770 over this, because the A770 8 gig could probably be, you could find it as cheap as $200, so, you know, 50% less almost, probably like 40% less than this card. And at this point, you know, $300 on an 8 gig GPU, you're kind of wasting your money, honestly. Now, that totally changes with the 16 gig version. We just looked at the specs. It's around a 3070, okay? But this time, you got double the VRAM, so you aren't gonna run out. And, okay, 390, you know, we're getting up there in price, 380, 370. Okay, 370 is enticing. I'm not even gonna look this up on eBay because it just came out, but for $370, you're getting a 16 gigabyte 3070. Oh, 3070 Ti. I changed my mind. You know what? I'm gonna put this in B tier, the 8 gig version, because that's a lot of performance. If you can fit it within the frame buffer, that's pretty good. So you're getting a 16 gig 3070 Ti or 2080 Ti, a little bit over that, for 370 buckaroos, and it actually has great media encoders and great upscaling. I think this is S tier. This is S tier. All right. And ignore, oh, it beats the, yeah, it beats the Arc B580, by the way. That's only what, 20 more bucks for this? I'll take that any day of the week. That's more performance and overall more consistency with your GPU. So the 8770 is ahead of that because it's in the other price category. Don't mind that. The RX 9060 XT is actually winning right now for this price category that's 300 and above. So right now, this thing is the bee's knees. You should go out and buy that. Affiliate links down below, by the way, because it 370 for this. I mean, I'll be using this for a build for one of my friends pretty soon for that price. It's great. Now we're going on to the RX 6750 XT. Okay, so this thing surprisingly is even slower than the 9060 XT, and yeah, it's around a 3070 performance. Depends what it's going for on eBay. And I'm just gonna bunch in the 6700 XT with this. So I'll just look up 6700 XT. Okay, 260, 360, 300. What's it going for on eBay? $800. What? Okay, well, 400, we'll just ignore eBay. This is kind of an outlier. 260. It looks like more it could be around 300, 310. And for that price, I mean, you just have a lot of competition now. You know, things that have AI-based upscalers, things with better media engines. And for 310 bucks, I think there's better options. You might as well save up for the RX 6700 16 gigabytes XT. And because of that, I'm gonna put this at the beginning of B tier. You know, it's not bad. If you chose that, I'll be like, yeah, that's a good choice, but there's better options now in 2025. Next up is the RX 7700 XT. It's 10% faster. We have, sorry that I keep on skipping to go over this, but sometimes I do and sometimes I don't. We have 35 teraflops over 432 gigabytes memory bandwidth. What are we going for? 400. Okay, this ain't gonna be much better. Yeah, because it's only 10% faster, dude. Yeah, this thing is garbage. For right under $500, 10% more performance. Only thing you get that's better is AB1 encoding. I'm gonna put this thing in C tier. There's just better options now than the RX 7700 XT. Right now, this thing is not a bargain. 4060 Ti 16 gig. I think I skipped the 60 Ti 8 gig, but you know, it's 8 gigabytes, over $300, it's C tier, whatever. Oh, actually, I'm gonna put this in D tier. I forgot to use D tier. Yeah, it's just not good. 4060 Ti 16 gig. So right on the same performance as that 7700 XT, but you have to understand, you get all kinds of features with this GPU. You get DLSS, you get media engines that can edit and record very well and stream well, and you also have DLSS, which I probably already mentioned twice, but it's honestly worth mentioning twice because the image quality boost over last gen FSR is night and day. I've tested it before and it's seriously night and day. Here you're getting 23 teraflops and 448 gigabytes of memory bandwidth. So enough memory bandwidth to feed the beast, 16 gigabytes of VRAM to boot. So what's this thing going for on eBay? Just came out. Okay, right under 500. That's the 8 gig. I just came out, so I probably should look it up on Newegg, actually. Okay, 480. 490. You're pushing into, here's the thing with this, you're pushing into 5070 territory here. Last week, I think I saw this GPU for like 460 or something, 480, man, for a dual, like that's like, looks like a low end card right there. It's tough, don't get me wrong, it's tough, but I think this has the potential to be like a workhorse, low power editing GPU and like rendering GPU with that 16 gigs of VRAM, and NVIDIA offering us 16 gigs of VRAM with this amount of memory bandwidth that's actually, you know, compatible with the GPU core die. It's not bad, but $500, I mean, this isn't even in the same price category as all these. So I guess we have to start a new price category here. Oh, this is the 4060 Ti. Let me look that up. Kind of mix them up here. 450. Yeah, so same deal, and it actually performs a good deal worse because it has like no memory bandwidth. 5060 is 33% faster. So 4060 Ti for that price is C tier. It just doesn't have enough memory bandwidth to feed the beast, guys. It needs GDDR7 or a bigger bus width to do that. Now the 5060 Ti 8 gig, it's also in C tier because it only has 8 gigs of VRAM. Now, getting onto the 5060 Ti. Okay, 480 bucks. You know, it's a low-end GPU, and you could get a 5070 for 550, I'm pretty sure. And that is, how much faster is that? That is 40% faster, guys. 40. Let's go ahead and check and make sure you can actually get it, though. Okay, 610. Prices have gone up a little bit since I last looked. 600. Man, prices really just went up all of a sudden, didn't they? Okay. So this is a tough one. You know, 480 bucks for 16 gigs of VRAM, but 40%, you know, you're missing out on 40% more performance from the 5070 for only about 100 bucks more. And because of that, I'm gonna give this thing A tier. And you might be saying like, whoa, $500 for only 128-bit bus. Yeah, it's not good, but this thing is a performer, guys. I mean, we're on the level here of a RX 6800, and for 400 bucks with the NVIDIA Magic 16 gigs of VRAM, enough memory bandwidth, I think it is pretty good. Not as good as the RX 6700 or 9060 XT, because that's, you know, like $100 less, and that $100 really matters at this price category, guys. Don't get me wrong. So yeah, this GPU solidly an A tier, but 9060 XT 16 gig, from my thoughts, it just beats it. Next up is the RX 6800. Okay, so this is like same performance, same amount of VRAM, although ray tracing is a lot worse and media engine's a lot worse. Also, we're sitting at 16 teraflops, 512 gigabytes. So a little bit more memory bandwidth there. Has less cache, I think, though. This used to be the go-to budget GPU for a while. Okay, 400. Okay, no. The 9060 XT invalidates this thing, bro. For 400, yeah. That used to be a good deal, don't get me wrong, but with the 9060 XT, this just ain't it anymore. I'd put it in B tier behind, in B tier in front of the 9060 XT 8 gig, but there's other GPUs out there that just beat this thing for, you know, features and price to performance, honestly. Okay, I think that we need to make a new price category now because the 7800 XT should be kind of expensive. Yeah, so that was kind of like 300 to 500 price category, and the winner of that price category was the 16 gig 9060 XT. Good job. And in second place, I can't remember if we did the B580. I think, yeah, the B580 was in second, then the 16 gig RTX 5060 Ti was in third. So those three GPUs, you're getting enough VRAM, you're getting enough memory bandwidth, and the features are all there. So any one of those three, and I think you're pretty good as long as you're in for under 400 and for the 5060 Ti under 480. Next up is the $500 GPU category. So starting off with the RX 7800 XT, only 20% faster than the 5060 Ti. And it is chiplet GPU, so something to note is this isn't a monolithic chip. It's not all together on one die. So there's a latency interconnect to all those, and it actually hurts performance. And my theory is in the long term, this is going to be hard to code for their drivers, and RDNA 3 probably isn't going to age very well. Just a hunch that I have. And also, the AI accelerators in this thing don't do anything. There's no AI-based upscaling. So honestly, be careful when you're buying RDNA 3. I don't think it's going to age very well. Just my thoughts. But this thing sitting at 37 teraflops, really high number there, 624 gigabytes memory bandwidth. over, and then wait, did I pull it up already? Yeah, already pulled it up. 500 to 600, or really 550. It's not bad, it's not horrible. Okay, so new, this is just a scam, new. Oh, okay, no, not this one, 480. It's open box though. Okay, so let's just say 500, but you could get an open box for 480. Not bad there. You're getting 16 gigs of VRAM. You're getting AV1 encoding for all for $500. Now, for all of that, you could get a 5060 Ti though, 16 gig. But this thing is quite a bit faster. 20% faster than that. But like I said, it doesn't have DLSS, and you might as well just subtract 30% performance just for that. So because it doesn't have DLSS and you're paying $500, I'm gonna go ahead and put it in A tier. Could be S tier if it was an NVIDIA card. It's not. That's just, you know, how it is. Okay, 4070. Really high performer for how small this die is here, I gotta say. Right around, you know, 6900 XT, 6800 XT with 29 teraflops, 504 gigabytes per second memory bandwidth. What's this going for on eBay? $580, 600, are you serious? 550? 530. Okay. Don't get me wrong. This is gonna cost you, okay, what does this cost you on Newegg? 700. It's straight up scam new, but on the used market, if you can get this for 500, even 450, which let's just say it's 520, $20 more for the same performance as the RX 7800 XT. It's gonna be above that because it has DLSS, and it has a little bit less VRAM, but I think for the 70 class product, you'll be playing at 1080p, 1440p. So honestly, I think it's a better card. It's gonna use less power. It's a monolithic die, probably gonna age better, have longer support. Yeah, there's a lot of factors to consider here, and I'm trying to consider them all, but it's right above that 7800 XT. Next, the 4070 Super. This thing, 16% faster than the 4070, right around under a 3080 Ti, right around that performance, so not bad. It's also gonna sip power while giving you that. 35 teraflops, 504 gigabytes memory bandwidth. What's this going for on eBay? 670, 650. Yikes, 600. And that's like a basic model, like a Dell model. Yeah. What about on Newegg? $680. Dude, nah, man. If you're paying over $600 for a 12 gigabyte GPU, it's just not it. Sure, it is a good deal faster than the 4070, but I feel like around 500 is the most you should pay for a 12 gig. So because of that, you know, you're just getting to this, I'm gonna put it in B tier. It's not a bad GPU. If you got this GPU, don't feel sorry for yourself, but you shouldn't be buying it in 2025 now for that price. It should be 550 or less, you know, nothing more than that. Next up is the RTX 5070. Now this thing, where is this at? Okay, so 6% faster than the 4070, right around a 4070 Ti, but we also have 12 gigs of VRAM. That's the problem. And 30 teraflops, 672 gigabytes of memory bandwidth. So quite a bit of memory bandwidth there on this mid-range card. Okay, 700, 670, 650. Okay, 600, not bad. Okay, 600 new. I really want to see this at 550. At 550, I think it's a good deal. I actually do. At MSRP, if you can get a triple fan model like this, I don't know if this is a high-end model or not. For 600, it's acceptable. I know I just said, you know, $600 for 12 gigs is kind of unacceptable, but this is a really high level of performance here. You know, right at 3090. I guess just right above 4070 Super. I don't know why. I just view it as better because it's 5 instead of 4. You know, the 5070 compared to 4070 Super. But I guess it's not the best unless you can get this at MSRP. At MSRP, it's A tier. Right now, it's at B tier. Okay, RX 7900 XT. This might be a new price category here. They jump kind of quick. They jump up quick at this performance level. 600. Okay, no, we're at 5. We can do 5 to 700, I feel like. Okay, so 7900 XT. This is 13% faster than a 5070. But, you know, this doesn't have DLSS, doesn't have the new version of FSR. And sitting pretty with 51 teraflops. Woo. 800 gigabytes of memory bandwidth and 20 gigabytes to boot. Fun tip, I actually was going to upgrade to this GPU at one time, but then I got a really good deal on a 4080 and I never looked back. But this thing did drop to 670 bucks like a year and a half ago. So hopefully it's not too expensive now. Okay, 650. 600. What's this going for on eBay? I'm pretty sure on Newegg it's been sucks dry. 900 scam. Okay, 680. I like this. Where was it? 600. If you can get this thing for 650, I mean, you're getting 9070 XT performance, right under 10% under that. 3090 Ti performance with 20 gigs of VRAM. Sure, it doesn't have DLSS, but you got a ton of VRAM working with you here. For 650 bucks, I'm gonna go ahead and put this in S tier. I think right now that's like a hidden gem right now. Sure, you don't have DLSS, like I said. You could even subtract 30% performance from this and comparing it to NVIDIA GPUs, but even so, I think the VRAM makes up for it there. I think whoever buys this card could be secure for a little bit, although, you know, this chiplet architecture, I don't think it's gonna age very well, so be cautious with that. You might get cut driver support early, and the drivers might just fall apart over time. I think there was hardware flaws with this architecture. I mean, just take a look. We're getting 51 teraflops here, and the 4080, which is 16% faster, has only 48. So less teraflops, but more performance. Make that make sense, you know? But yeah, if you're okay with those caveats, it's an S tier, straight up. As in for production work, you know, I don't know how the 7900 XT is going to work for that. It doesn't have the best media encoders, and a lot of applications aren't going to support it. But I know DaVinci does well with those cards, so maybe if you're a video editor there, you can make it work. Yeah, so something to consider there. Next up is the 4070 Ti Super, and that card is right under it. Basically same performance, around a 3090 Ti. We have 44 teraflops with 672 gigabytes of memory bandwidth. Now this card also has 16 gigs of VRAM, so it is a contender for your wallet. At least that's what NVIDIA wants you to think. Okay, 780, lowest I see. Now this, I'm not gonna lie guys, this MSI card is like goated. I just love the way this looks. Like, I wish I had one of those. MSI, if you're watching, send me one. But yeah, for 780, dude, didn't we just say the 7900 XT was 650? Now you're getting the NVIDIA Flare, don't get me wrong. But really, if you need that 16 gigs, you got the 5060 Ti now for, you know, 480. And yeah, it's a scam to buy this thing new for, let's just call this thing a 850. That seems to be the average price of this thing. Some at 800. For that price, dude, it's just a non-starter, man. 850, are you kidding me? I'm gonna put that in C tier. Yeah, because the 5060 Ti, sure, it's a lot slower, like a whole lot slower. Or is it? Yeah, I mean, it's a whole lot slower, but you're still getting the 16 gigs of VRAM. That is 55% faster, but for like 850, man, that seems like too low of an end of a card for me for 850 right now. Just saying. So I'll put it in the end of B tier. Because I know some people might just want that performance in the NVIDIA Flare. I get it. Sometimes you just need NVIDIA. Next up is the RX 9070. Now, I recently bought one of these, put it into a build for one of my friends. It's his first gaming PC. This is a really good deal. I got it for $650. What's this going for on eBay, though? Just came out not too long ago, so it might not even be on eBay. Okay. 640, 700, and let's see if that deal on Newegg's still going. I bought it off Newegg. $600. Oh, okay, yeah, I bought it for $600, not $650. I bought this model for $600, and it's out of stock. Because this is a great deal. I mean, what's the performance of this thing? Right around a 4070 Ti Super. So literally $250 less than that GPU, but the same performance level. 3090 Ti performance right under a 7900 XT. Now this only has 16 gigs of VRAM, but we have that monolithic chip. It has AI-based upscaling, so the longevity of this thing is gonna be much better than that 7900 XT. Just listen to me, guys, it's going to be. That card is probably not gonna age as well, even despite it having 4 gigs more VRAM. This thing even has less memory bandwidth at 644 gigabytes, but I promise you it's gonna age better, and we have 36 teraflops here. So I'd much rather get a 9070 XT. It's gonna use less power, and honestly, this thing at $600 is straight up S tier, dethroning the 7900 XT by a country mile. Honestly, it's much better. Cost what, less? Pretty sure the XT was $650. So yeah, definitely great deal, and it's new. So yeah, too bad they're all sold out, but you were able to get these. It was in stock for quite a while, and I bought one, so I'm gonna leave that on there since I actually bought it for that price. Now 5070 Ti. Take a look at that GPU. Getting pretty expensive now. 17% faster. This is on the level of a 7900 XTX 4080. Right around 43 teraflops, 44. And then 896 gigabytes memory bandwidth. That's enough. Feed the beast there. What's this going for on eBay? $880. And right under 1,000 new. Oh, couple it for 830. Pretty sure the MSRP of this thing is 800 or 850. I think it's 800. There's an open box MSI one for 850. Looks kind of cool. Not bad. Who knows with MSI open, or not MSI, Newegg open box though. I have no idea if that's reputable or not. So this is a tough choice. I mean, the 9070 is, like 15% slower, and this is the NVIDIA Flare. It's the newest generation, and for only 150 bucks more, or no, it's 250 bucks more. Definitely not getting S tier, but I could see why you would like this. I'm gonna go ahead and put it in B tier. Yeah, I'm gonna put it in B tier. Both of those aren't in the same category. So right now it's the top of B tier, above the 4070 Ti Super. I think the 5070 Ti, might as well get that. It's newer. You know, doesn't have PhysX support, but it has the newest DLSS and more memory bandwidth, so might as well go with that. Next up is the 9070 XT. Okay. So this is same performance as a 5070 Ti. It's monolithic. Good job, AMD. Great media encoders. What else is there to say? AI-based upscaling. 48 teraflops. 644 gigabytes of memory bandwidth. And then on eBay, it's going for 780, 770. I'm surprised it's going for that. I think people bought this trying to scalp it, and then AMD just kept on pumping them out with like so much volume that they're left holding the bag, because the MSRP of this thing is $650, so $100 over MSRP for a new product like this is not horrible, and its performance is pretty good. Okay, so 750 on Newegg. Yeah, but you're only getting 12% more performance than the $600 9070. Same amount of VRAM. If you're gonna spend $750, you might as well spend $850 and get all the NVIDIA features. I mean, if you're spending that much on one part, you need to have the very best, right? At least the very best features. And with the 9070 being offered at $600, I think this thing's kind of DOA at $750. That may seem cheap to you, but I don't think AMD can command that amount of a price with a card like this. It's a great card, but it's a great card at $650 or $700 max, not $750, $800, $850. So at that point, I'm gonna put this thing behind the 5070 Ti and in between the 4070 Ti Super and 5070 Ti, kind of around that area. You know, 5070 Ti is better just for the price. Next up is the 7900 XTX, the GigaChat AMD GPU, at least that's what we think, has 24 gigs of VRAM. Where is it? Right here. It's on the performance of a 4080 or 5070 Ti. It's also got 960 gigabytes of memory bandwidth, almost a terabyte, and 61 teraflops. Now this is that chiplet-based GPU architecture, no AI-based upscaling. Probably not going to age the best, even despite its 24 gigs of VRAM. I just don't expect it to. It's kind of a hot mess of a architecture. Let's look this up on eBay. $900. I mean, it depends, dude. If you need 24 gigs of VRAM, what other card's gonna do that? Maybe the 3090, and we could look that up. I didn't put that on my tier list here because you probably shouldn't really buy a 3090 anymore unless you're doing AI work or something. So 800, you're paying $100 more over the 3090, but this is a better GPU than the 3090 by a long shot. Maybe not for those AI workloads, but 900 at Newegg. Yeah, for 900, I mean, oh, is this 800? Oh, 800. Okay, for 800, it's not bad. I'd still much rather go with a 9070 non-XT or a 5070 Ti. 5070 Ti will blow this out of the water in real world use, pretty much in any application that doesn't use all of your VRAM. It will blow it out of the water. If you really just, turn on DLSS, use the NVIDIA features, stress it out in a professional application, 5070 Ti will win. But so I'm gonna put this honestly below. I'd even go with the 4070 Ti Super before that. So I'd put that in B tier down here. So yeah, we're getting on $1,000, and I think I'll cut it off at 1,200 for this. So anywhere from, what is this price category? Like 700 to 1,200, something like that. That seems kind of big, but maybe we'll end it there. Let's see what's the 4080 Super going for. 1200, yeah, we'll cut off that there. So this price category, the winner is the RX 9070 16 gig. It's $600 on Newegg. Go ahead and pick it up. Also, if it's available on Amazon, I'll have an affiliate link down below. Really good GPU. I'm testing it out as we speak. And yeah, so far I only have good things to say about it. Hopefully no driver issues or anything like that. Really good GPU for 600 bucks. Can recommend it. Next price category, $1,000 and up. We have 4 GPUs left and they're all NVIDIA. So let's just get this over with. 4080 Super. Same performance as the XTX, but you know, monolithic, uses less power, sure less VRAM, but you aren't really gonna always use that VRAM. 52 teraflops, 736 gigabytes per second of memory bandwidth. So on eBay, you know, it's going for 1,200, over 1,000, and many of you might be saying, you know, the XTX is better. Why is this going for more money? Well, I mean, the marketplace is a good indicator of how good or how valuable something is, and this kind of shows the 4080 is better than the 7900 XTX. These people know it that are selling it. Maybe upset, it is better. The price determines that, right? So is it worth 1,200? No, it's definitely not worth 1,200 or even 1,000. I'd probably pay $850 most for a 4080 Super at this point. You can get a 5070 Ti for around that price. So why not just go with that, honestly? What's this going for on Newegg? $2,000, so straight up scamming on Newegg here. 1,400. Yeah, I mean, it's in C tier, dude. It's a ripoff. I wouldn't call it straight up D tier because you're gonna get a great performance when you install this thing, but yeah, not too great there. Next up is 5080. We're getting a measly 12% performance upgrade. Although if you overclock this thing, you can get upwards of 20-25% more performance than the 4080, close to the 4090. At least that's what I've heard. We're coming in with 56 teraflops, 960 gigabytes of memory bandwidth. And what's this thing going for on eBay? Pretty new, so I don't know if it'll even be on eBay. Probably. $1,400. Yeah, I mean, $1,600, straight up scam. New. Yeah, I mean, I don't know why people are buying this when the 5070 Ti is still there in stock at $850. It's like the same thing almost. It's like 13% less performance. So somehow the 5080 is worse than the 4080, and I'm gonna put this in D tier. You've outdone yourself, NVIDIA. Now 4090, let's look this up. It's 16% faster, but you have to understand, guys, this is a workstation GPU. It's got 24 gigs of VRAM. It's not really made for gaming. You can use it for gaming, but people that are buying this thing are making money from it, right? So absolutely massive GPU die. It's not really close to any other GPU. 5090 is 31% faster. Has 82 teraflops, 1 terabyte of memory bandwidth, absolute beast. Nothing even reaches it right now. And AMD's had a whole gen to catch up. They didn't really try to beat it. And honestly, this thing's not even on eBay, because I think everyone bought them all up no matter the price for AI workloads. 3,000, oh my gosh, dude. For 4090, 2,400, oh, it makes me sick. I may have to reevaluate my 4080 Super. I think I'm gonna put this thing in B tier now and move this up to C tier, because the 4090 takes the cake for D tier. It's horrible, bro. I mean, even if you're doing a workstation GPU, you could buy two 5070 Ti's and, you know, pool their VRAM together to do what you need to do, right? And you'll have 32 gigs of VRAM. So even for the case for AI, it's not good, in my opinion. Let me know in the comments if I'm wrong on that. Now 5090, can't wait to see the price on this. The absolute high end, oh, and I don't know why I did it that way. 5090, the absolute high end of PC gaming and graphics cards. Absolutely massive GPU die. How big is this? 750 millimeter square. Just to give you a reference, the 5080 is 378. So 750 compared to 378. Crazy. And it's crazy how the silicon didn't even scale that well. 5090 or 5080 is 5090, sorry, is 52% faster than the 5080. Crazy. Coming in with a massive 104, almost 105 teraflops and 1.79 terabytes per second of memory bandwidth. Now, this is going to be bad. I came out with a video when the 5090 was first announced, and I said, the 5090 is a bargain. You're just poor, because the MSRP of $2,000 for the 5090 for what you're getting, 32 gigs of VRAM over a 512-bit bus is a steal for people that need, AI workloads, video editing workloads. $2,000 for this that is basically alien technology. It was a steal. Now, to prove that I was right about that, look at prices now. $3,000. I thought they'd even be at $4,000, but it looks like they're just at $3,000. 2,800. Yeah. That means 2,000 was a steal. If you saw 2,000 for this GPU now, it would be bought instantly. And that just shows that, yeah, at MSRP, this thing was a good value because no other GPU comes remotely close for that performance in VRAM for that price. So it's looking like it's $3,000. And honestly, even 2,600, call me crazy, but I'm gonna put it in S tier. Because, if you're someone that needs 32 gigs of VRAM or even 64 and you want to use two 5090s, it's the only card that can do that. Same thing for the 4090 last gen. Now, the 4090 is in D tier now because there's a card better than it, the 5090, that only costs a little bit more. So why would you go with the 4090? It doesn't make a lot of sense to me. So yeah, guys, this is my tier list. Let me know in the comment section down below what you think. Took a while to finish. Hopefully this video blows up. I know you guys just like listening to me ramble about PC hardware. I had fun doing this, and we'll definitely do another one of these when next gen comes out, or maybe a refresh. There is a supposed 5080 24 gigabyte 5080 Super, if you will, coming out maybe later this year, so that will spice things up a little bit, really make the 4090 very irrelevant, and hopefully bring down the price of the 5090. But let me know down in the comment section down below if you want me to do a CPU tier list. Now that's going to be a little bit tougher because there's not exactly a relative performance chart for CPU performance, especially when it comes to gaming. But we could definitely make that work, and I would be interested to do that because I see all the time, people just go with the 9800 X3D. It's the best CPU. Well, yeah, but what's the best price to performance CPU? I mean, the purpose of your CPU for gaming is just not to hold back the GPU. Literally get a CPU that's good enough to not hold back your GPU in any way, then you're golden. And the thing is, if you're playing at 1440p, 4K, there's like dozens of CPUs that will do that for you. You don't have to go with the 9800 X3D. So it's actually probably gonna rank in D tier when it comes to price to performance on a chart like this. So I'd be kind of interested in doing something like that. So let me know. But yeah, I had fun doing this, and yeah, let me know what you think. Silicon Steak, signing out.
He's on deck from GPUs to CPUs, he knows it all. No question too big, no detail too small. He's got the knowledge, he's got the skill. When he drops his takes,